most people who go live out in the country are in their actions performing a civilizing mission, essentially. Whatever the personal reason for people wanting to live outside of the city, people move out here, and what they do is they put in roads, they put in driveways, they put in paths for their homes, they put in wells, they put up fences, they mow, they cut, they have a low tolerance for the wild creatures, especially carnivores and or other quote-unquote pest species. So they take actions to, many of them take actions to kill these animals, to remove them from their property boundaries. Many people bring in domestic animals of one sort or another. Dogs chase or kill wildlife, essentially removing the habitat from circulation, from active use by most species who can be hurt by a dog. They bring in horses that compete with all the native grazers. People bring in cats who kill the rodents and kill the birds. They install power lines, which kill more birds, break up the aerial habitat, completely change the structure of the sky zone. I mentioned the fences, that's a huge one, subdividing everything. And they bring traffic, they bring cars of all sorts at all hours of the day, crossing the roads, killing those creatures who attempt to cross the roads regularly. And not least of all, they bring their own human presence as one of the top most dangerous predator species on the planet, probably the most dangerous predator species on the planet, a human being, and situating these human beings throughout the landscape in all sorts of different locations, with the ramifications that has, the rippling effects that has on how the mammals behave, how the birds behave, how the other predator species behave, how the scavengers behave when this large, 100 to 200 pound on average, human beings are all over the place, observing, walking, talking with one another, going about their lives, but always a potential threat. How does that change the land, the landscape, how the land can express itself, what sort of beings can live there, and how they're able to go about or not go about their daily lives? Those who are completely driven to extinction or driven to leave the area or die trying. And I'm not implying that most of the people who live out in the country are doing this deliberately. I live out in the country. I grew up in the city and decided that wasn't for me. So now I'm out here. But this is a toxic mimic of living in real relationship and real balance with the land, which entails none of those things I mentioned earlier, plus a much, much lower population. Much lower. And this is a toxic mimic. It performs a civilizing force. And that's why, living out in the country should never be taken to be some sort of solution or end unto itself. This is the pioneering edge, the frontier of civilization. And this is how wild places are transformed into domesticated, controlled places.